There was a president in the United States several years ago. Robbers broke into the Democratic National Convention. They were attempting to wiretap phones and steal important secret documents. They were caught, of course, which is how we know about it, and each of them had $1,000 in their pocket that was linked to the re-election campaign of President Richard Nixon. Nixon tried to cover it up, and people thought he tried to cover it up, but they didn't have proof until they found tapes. Tapes of recording things that happened in the Oval Office, and it proved that he tried to cover it up. In the public eye, he was fallen. He didn't amount to as much as he used to. He was disgraced. He resigned because he knew that it was inevitable that he would be impeached. A similar thing happened in the Bible with David and Bathsheba. Now, he didn't resign, but what happened was he was at the time when the kings were going off to war, and he had his army go off, but he didn't go out. He stayed at the palace because he was tired. One day he was out on the palace roof, and he saw a woman bathing on top of her roof. But he didn't look away. He kept looking. He asked his attendant, "Who is this girl over there?" And the attendant said, "That is Bathsheba, Uriah's wife." And he's like, send for her. And they slept together. A little while later, she called to him and said, I'm pregnant. And he sent for Uriah, and he's like, "Oh shoot, I gotta cover this up." And he sent for Uriah, and he said, "Okay, go home with your wife. He ate with Uriah and sent Uriah home. But Uriah refused to go and sleep with his wife while all the other soldiers were off at war. He slept on that mat. The next day, David again ate with Uriah, except this time he got him drunk and sent him home, trying to get him to go sleep with his wife so he could cover up the pregnancy. But that didn't happen either. He didn't even go home. So David sent him back and sent him with a letter to Joab saying, "Look, put this guy on the front line so he can be killed, basically, and kill him with the Ammonites where you know he will die." And that's what happened. Uriah died because he was on the front lines and he was killed. And Joab sent word to David saying that the army was routed, but Uriah died, and David didn't care because Uriah died. And as soon as the mourning for Bathsheba was over, David took her as his wife. So that's what happened before. This is the scripture passage in 2 Samuel 12, talking about how God got a hold of him and talked to him. The Lord sent Nathan to David. When he came to him, he said, "There were two men in a certain town, one rich and the other poor. The rich man had a very large number of sheep and cattle, but the poor man had nothing except one little ewe lamb that he bought. He raised it, and it grew up with him and his children. It shared his food, drank from his cup, and even slept in his arms. It was like a daughter to him. Now a traveler came to the rich man, but the rich man refrained from taking one of his own sheep or cattle to prepare a meal for the traveler who came to him. Instead, he took the ewe lamb that belonged to the poor man and prepared it for the one who had come to him." David burned with anger against the man and said, "As surely as the Lord lives, the man who did this deserves to die. He must pay for the lamb 4 times over because he did such a thing and had no pity." Then Nathan said, "You are that man. This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. I anointed you king over Israel. I delivered you from the hand of Saul. I gave your master's house to you and your master's wives into your arms. And I gave you the house of Israel. And if all of this would have been too little, I would have given you even more. Why you despise the word of the Lord by doing what is evil in his eyes? You struck down Uriah the Hittite with the sword and took his wife to be your own. You killed him with the sword of the Ammonites. Now, therefore, the sword shall never depart from your house, because you despised me and took the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be your own. This is what the Lord says. Out of your own house I am going to bring calamity upon you. Before your very eyes I will take your wives and give them to one who is close to you, and he will lie with your wives in broad daylight. You did it in secret, but I will do this thing in broad daylight before all of Israel. Then David said to Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. Then Nathan replied, the Lord has taken away your sin. You are not going to die. But because you did this, you have made the enemies of the Lord show utter contempt, and the son born to you will die. After Nathan had gone home, the Lord struck the child that Uriah's wife had born to David. David's sin was great. In verse 9, it said, he despised the word of the Lord. He disobeyed the Ten Commandments. Do not commit adultery by calling Uriah's wife to him and slept with him. He could have gone to have, if he really wanted to, he could have had his own wife. He had many wives, but he didn't. He chose to take Uriah's wife, and thus he despised the Lord. And he harmed his reputation before the enemies of Israel and Israel. He basically said this was God's anointed, saying that he was going to be the example of the people, and he sinned gravely before the sight of the Lord. He showed by his actions that it was okay to sin to the Israelites, because it was okay to sin, and then he tried to cover it up, much like Nixon. God gave him so much. In verse 8, it says, I would have given you even more if you had asked. But David David marred the relationship and chose, rather than doing what he should have done, he chose to do wrong. We also, whenever we sin, it destroys our witness for those around us. If we sin and people say, okay, that guy is a Christian, he's a really good guy, and then we sin and do something we shouldn't do, they look at us and say, well, I do that, so why not? Why am I any much better than them? Because they did the same thing I did. So he despised the word of the Lord. The second thing he did was he lusted, and then he committed adultery. If you looked away, the first thing he did was he lusted. The original look wasn't wrong, but he looked, and then he looked deeper, and it's like, oh, I have to have some of that. But if he had looked away, none of that would have happened. If he would have said, no, I am supposed to be God's Holy One, I'm not going to do that, and then walked inside or done something else. The story of the lamb, which Nathan told to show David what he had done. The analogy is that he had many wives, and Uriah had only one that he loved and cared for, and he took the one that he had. David said the man deserved to die for taking sheep, and yet he had done something so much greater, and this allowed him to see his sin. The last, even what some consider to be small sins, some like lusting. Many people don't think of lusting as a big sin, although it is. It led to adultery and it led to murder. So we need to be careful what we do. He killed Uriah the Hittite and took his wife to be his own. It says that he used the sword of the Ammonites to kill Uriah, and that was his purpose. He didn't feel any remorse for the death, and he took Bathsheba as soon as she was finished mourning. He didn't feel any remorse because he took her as soon as she was done mourning. He's like, okay, come in here. He was still trying to cover it up, and it didn't work, of course, because by the time he killed Uriah, it was obvious that it had been more than 9 months. It would have been less than 9 months since they got married. So he tried to cover it up by murdering. It didn't help. We all have sins that we commit, and we might consider them not to be very big, but God considers all sins to be great. No matter how big we think it is, they're all the same. One little white lie can keep us from heaven. David is no worse than we are, and even though he seemed to slap God in the face by his sin, we all slap God in the face with our sin. But I want you to know, God's forgiveness is available for all who repent, no matter how great the sin. David's repentance was sincere. He said, I have sinned against the Lord. And he was talking about how he was very sorry for it. At first he wasn't. At first he just wanted to cover it up. But after he was confronted, he was very remorseful and said, I don't know what to do. I'm so sorry. I'd like to read Psalm 51 for you. This is in the Message translation to help you this is what David wrote after he'd been confronted by Nathan. Generous in love, God give grace. Huge in mercy, wipe out my bad record. Scrub away my guilt. Soak out my sins in your laundry. I know how bad I've been. My sins are staring me down. You're the one I've violated, and you've seen it all. Seen the full extent of my evil. You have all the facts before you. Whatever you decide about me is fair. I've been out of step with you for a long time, in the wrong since before I was born. What you're after is truth from the inside out. Enter me then, conceive anew, true life. Soak me in your laundry and I'll come out clean. Scrub me and I'll have a snow white life. Tune me into the foot-tapping song. Set these once broken bones to dancing. Don't look too close for blemishes. Give me a clean bill of health. God, make a fresh start in me. Shape a Genesis week from the chaos of my life. Don't throw me out with the trash or fail to breathe holiness in me. Bring me back from gray exile. Put a fresh wind in my sail. This shows how repentant he was and how heartfelt his repentance was. I want to tell you another story of another king of Israel who sinned against God. But he didn't have the same reaction David did. God told this king to go and annihilate the Hittites the Ammonites, because they were evil and he was done with dealing with them. He was not supposed to leave a single thing living. Not a human, not an animal. He was supposed to kill everyone. This king went and he annihilated most of the Ammonites. He left the king and he took the best of the sheep. God said to Samuel, his prophet, I'm sorry I ever made Saul king over Israel. And God sent Samuel to talk to God. Samuel to talk to Saul. And as it went on, Saul defended himself and said, I killed everything. I just kept these animals for sacrifices. And I wanted to humiliate the Ammonites by taking their king alive. And Samuel said, obedience is better than sacrifice. But Saul kept he didn't really care. He only wanted to know what the people thought of him. He didn't really care about what God said anymore. He had turned. This was David's predecessor. Think about it. After God had shunned Saul as king over Israel, he came, and David also did a grave sin. But David repented, which, of course, since he repented sincerely and repented heartfelt, he was forgiven. Because God's forgiveness is available to all who repent, no matter how great sin. God forgave him. I want you to notice he did not hesitate. There didn't seem to be any pause in the reading in verse 13, as soon as David said, "I have sinned against the Lord," the very next line is, "The Lord has taken away your sin." And so it was immediate. God did not hesitate to forgive, and He doesn't hesitate to forgive. But David did not get out of the consequences. I want you to notice, just because he forgave. He was forgiven. The son born to him did die in the next chapter, as actually in this chapter, as it said in verse 14. He said that he promised he would bring calamity on David's house and out of David's house. And that is what happened. In chapter 13 of this chapter, of this book, Tamar, his daughter, was raped by her half-brother. And later, Absalom killed Amnon, the brother who raped her. This is not a holy house that he had. Because he sinned against with Bathsheba, the natural consequences were his children weren't as good as they could have been. Why? He also said that wives would be taken away and given to someone else who was close to them. And that happened in chapter 15. Absalom, his son, started a rebellion. And he sent David away. Because David ran away because he was afraid for his life. And he left some concubines to take care of the castle, to take care of the palace. And Absalom pitched a tent on the roof to prove that he had power over David's harem, and slept with all the wives he left in front of all of Israel. And God also promised the sword would never depart from his house. Whenever we sin, there are consequences. Even if God forgives us, we still have consequences. But how is David able to be forgiven? Because Jesus hadn't died yet. And that's how we're able to be forgiven. Since Jesus is the reason we can be forgiven, how did David receive God's forgiveness? What happened was God took away David's sin and put it on Jesus in the future because he was beyond time. It is like a person who stole a car. This person got away for a week. He was hiding. He really needed the car, and he kept hiding, and he hid it in a garage. But he still had to get around, and he didn't have another car. So he was driving down the interstate with this stolen car, and the police officers caught him. He was driving. They gave chase because they recognized the stolen car. And so he was scared because he did not want to go to jail for stealing the car. So he sped up. And he was running. And as he exited the exit ramp, he was going so fast because he didn't want the police to catch him that he ran straight off the exit ramp. The car flipped. And his leg was pinned. The medics came, of course, because you can't put a hurt man in prison. So what they did is they had to amputate his leg because the leg was pinned. And after he was better and he was healed in the hospital, he went to trial, of course, for stealing the car. The evidence against him was overwhelming. They had several witnesses. So the judge was about to hammer down the hammer and pronounce him guilty. The lawyer stepped up and said, "No, I'll take the penalty because he's sorry. He's repented. I put that on my tab." But the man didn't gain back his leg because he was forgiven. Same way with David. David he was punished for his sins. And even though God forgave him because he was sorry, he didn't get out of this stuff. He still had to pay for his sin. John 1:9 says, "If we confess our sins, he's faithful and just to forgive us our sins and cleanse us from all unrighteousness." 1 John 1:9. So we can get the same forgiveness. The most important thing is that we're freed from sin, and in our hearts we feel that we feel better. I'll say again, God's forgiveness is available to all who repent, no matter how great the sin. No matter what you've done or how bad you think it is, Jesus died on the cross so we could be free. It's like you're drowning, as you're drowning in the ocean because you fell off the boat. And you're about to give your last breath. Someone sees you and throws you a lifeline that will take you back to the ship. All you have to do is reach out and grab that line, and you can be free. You can be forgiven. God forgives us and separates us as far as the east is from the west. But sometimes we don't forget what we've done, even though God forgives. A long time after God forgave us, we're still thinking of this one sin we did and how bad it is. A certain sin could be the ghost of our past, or we keep thinking of it and we just can't forgive ourselves of it. We know in our mind that God forgave us, but sometimes it doesn't hit in our heart that He really did forgive us from the sin. It's cleansed. And Satan will use this sin to keep us from doing what God wants us to do. He'll bring it back up in our minds and He'll beat us with it. I want you to know, Jesus was beaten for that sin. You don't have to be beaten for that sin because Jesus took the beating. If there is a sin that you committed and you still can't forgive yourself, I want you to know you can forgive yourself because Jesus forgave you. Because God separated the sin as far as the east is from the west,